our Puranas. Jitna Puratan hai, utna hi Nutan hai, we say, because time, I think the more important thing is time stretches. That is the very essence of creativity. When time, stretches into the ancient past to the open-ended future and it flows through the present time, that is creativity. That is what brings these printed words, right? The words that have been left behind, they're brought to life. I think as students of literature, for we or any student, we need to understand how when a book falls in your lap, something magical happens. I tell my students, you all need to have some lovers of the mind. And that's me, I have many lovers. Fine. You should have that. You should sort of be driven by that, that fascination. Something magical is happening, and those things don't come necessarily just by being in some prestigious universities. You can be anywhere and you can still feel the power of words.
Absolutely.
All you need is a library. That's about it, right? So, and when you, the other, when you try to engage with works like this, what happens is your template or your is so wide. In Mundaka Upanishad, he asks, give me that kind of knowledge, knowing which everything else becomes known. So very, it stands as an emblem. What kind of text must we study and engage with? That engagement, whether it is Mahabharata or whether it's Sri Aurobindo, it gives you a certain framework, right? And when that framework, when those interpretive categories are available, then it widens our horizons. Whereas when you just go into the topical, don't even bother getting into Sri Aurobindo's works, thinking that you want some kind of very quick fix methods for spiritual ascent. No. Don't even bother.
Absolutely.
It's a waste of your time, and it is not going to work. There is a certain approach towards education itself that is needed. And that approach is not this, I tell my students, getting an A in America, getting an A grade, okay, that's just an alphabet. Come off it. You have to, you may sort of very whatever, magically earn an A grade, but that nothing ends there. Those are just an alphabet. But try to think about what is it that you're learning? What has this equipped you with certain ability? So, since the topic today is Sri Aurobindo, how do I understand Mother India? No other thinker has shown the force, the power, the capaciousness, the vastness, the depth, right, of the Indian civilization. And that's not in some prosaic way about nationalism and chauvinism. No, that's not what we're talking about. In order for us to understand who we are, we need to get to the depth of the matter, and we need to probe into that. So unless you go into the ancient, it's not some sort of a hopping onto an excursion. You don't read about Indian history as if it is a relic in the museum. No. You have to sort of internalize. There are no glass barriers. When you go to the museum, it is only, there are all these relics, and you just simply watch it and take photographs and post it on your Facebook. That's not what we are talking about. We need to sort of fully internalize it. There is so much wealth. There is so much force in this. So, when you look at, I think it was in the, I forgot which parva, sorry, I'm not able. In the Mahabharata, it's a short story. I think it comes in Vanaparva. Markandeya does narrate the story to the Pandavas of Savitri. But look at the way Sri Aurobindo expands this. Savitri is the daughter of Ashwapati. It's like the galloping of the horse. The Ashwa is the lord of the horses, and you must know how to rein in the horse, right? And she's married to Satyavan, truth, Satya, and that faces danger of annihilation, death. What kind of an recovery is possible? How does she recover? This is an exercise that all of us must engage in. Truth, no, whether it is for therapeutic purposes, whether it is for social purposes, or even to change correct the ills of the society. You can't stray far away from truth and even come up with remedies. It is like misdiagnosing an illness and then thinking that you're going to treat it. How? You're not going to be able to treat it. One of the very fascinating, I begin nowadays, like I said, to hell with it, I do freely make references to Aurobindo's works in my academic work. So in the preface, I began with this poem by Sri Aurobindo, Infinitesimal Infinite. It is there in the collection of, in his collected poems. So, so I'll just read one passage or two, or maybe the whole poem. Out of still immensity we came. These million universes were to it the poor like bubbles of a trivial game, a fragile glimmer of the infinite. It could not find its soul in all its vast. It drew itself into a little speck, infinitesimal, ignobly cast, out of earth's mud and slime strangely away, a tiny plasm upon a causal globe. In the small system of dwarf-like sun, a little life wearing the flesh for robe, a little mind winged through the wide space to run. It lives, it knew, it saw it sublime, deathless, outmeasuring space, outlasting time. When I think even about in a negative sense, the current crisis that we are all in, it is really the infinitesimal virus that has caused so much chaos. It is invisible, we can't even see it, but we feel the impact, and it has brought everyone so close to, staring at death, so to speak. I know wave 2 hit India pretty hard, whereas when it started, right where I'm living was the epicenter, in New York, in Queens. So the power of the infinitesimal is really, whether it is for the good purpose or whether it is evil, is really very, very potent and incredibly powerful. And we are sort of experiencing that. But more on a positive light is really that, for all the way the infinite is embodied is in the form of words. He was really a sculptor, when I look at all the sculptures in Indian temples, particularly down south, you will find it really astonishing. Whether it is in Tamil Nadu or whether it is in Karnataka, or Hampi and any place, it is really Belur, Halebid. The intricacy of it is astonishing. So the sculptor uses a stone to sculpt the images of God. Dancers, musicians use their voice. Dancers use their body. Dance is a complete art form. Because it uses every part of the body. And I think what um, I, Sri Aurobindo did was sculpt ideas with words. With words, he was truly a sculptor of ideas and poetry, and you name it. So it's impossible to say who is he? Is he a poet, a mystic, a spiritual leader, or a patriot, a revolutionary? Um, there is, see, for him, unlike Gandhi, he did not. In fact, he even refused to meet Gandhi. For him, when there, see, the bottom line, whether it is Mahabharata or Sri Aurobindo, is you cannot have peace without upholding dharma. Dharma is the bottom line. That needs to be upheld. Otherwise, everything else is just very superficial. Right? Unless you strive to uphold dharma, we cannot have shanti. So that's the reason that he was not this. But that doesn't mean that you just simply recklessly go and engage in a war. But rather, it is, you need to be very, everything is context dependent. When you have to use force, when you should not use force. So these are all something that the intellect has to decide. Shantanu, what is the, I don't know, I think we spoke for an hour. You told me 45 minutes. I think I went way beyond that. But if there is time, I would like to know and kind of engage in a brief dialogue at least, because I haven't heard your voices. What do you say, Shantanu or Sonali, madam? You want to comment or?
Yes, madam. We were just, as Shashwati was telling a little while ago, we are mesmerized. So actually, we haven't got the opportunity of hearing about Aurobindo in this perspective. So it's a really, we are overwhelmed. So what I would just, ma'am, request you that for our students, would you just in a very nutshell um, uh, summarize like truth and inner consciousness you have focused upon? So if you could in a nutshell, so how to practice this in daily life, how to internalize it, madam? So that would be very helpful, I feel.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's a very interesting and a very pertinent question. There is no sort of a handbook. See, the way, I mean, when I started this journey many decades back, the first book that I read was The Foundations of Indian Culture. So, there is no such thing as like an overnight sort of a study guide as to how to internalize it. It is once you, that's why when you read Savitri, the first is you need to be awakened. And the second is
Yes.
that awakening creates an opening, and that opening allows for the inflow. And that inflow needs to be, don't resist it. Many sort of really serious sadhaks will say, if you're not ready for it, this can actually have very adverse effects too. So it is a slow and a steady process. It doesn't happen, and for that is the sadhana, that is required. Through, and nothing comes easy. I mean, this is something that Sri Aurobindo repeatedly says. The path to heaven is through the hell. So you have to annihilate, our old habits, and then prepare yourself to receive it. So there are actually, if you're able to sort of develop effective study habits, in the and more importantly, understand it within the broader framework of the human condition. See, one of the things that I think we academics have done it pretty badly, yeah, and ruined it in many ways, over the several decades. We have sort of subordinated the human condition to the politics. It's really annoying. I hope you agree with. I mean, I don't. I mean, you are free to disagree with me, but my sense of it is social evaluation is an integral part of understanding. Okay? But when you only have these overpowering um, political categories, and then you subordinate aesthetics to the politics, all is lost. We have to understand it on a much higher plane. Then automatically, even the vexing problems of the individual or the society can be addressed. Right? Like for an alcoholic to rehabilitate, they first and foremost must admit that they are alcoholics. If they are just going to live in a happy denial, oh no, 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 I mean, I just take a little bit. No, you are ruining yourself and your family and the society. So if you're misdiagnosing it, it might so all the noise that we hear, it might give you a lot of attention and people fall for it.
Yes.
You know,
Mhm.
have to sort of allow. There has to be certain old-fashioned ways of studying and approaching. That is really shashwat. That cannot. There's so nothing new for anybody to sort of present. It's already there. We only need to tap into
Mhm.
what is the ancient
Yes.
wisdom,
What is
because
within?
critical questioning, all that has been an integral part of the civilization. Questioning, nothing is sort of, for that matter, you can say, like particularly Sanatan Dharma or Buddhism, they're all methodologies, real
Mhm.
methodologies for search, in our pursuit of truth. So our methods have to lead us to the questions, that will be a talk for another day. How do we frame the questions? How do we frame, because the womb of the answer is already there in the question. So for PhD students
Mhm.
or for anybody, कैसा प्रश्न है तुम्हारा? What is the nature of your question? How do you frame? Don't be swayed by the nonsensical, loud media people questioning. They're already restricting the
Mhm.
possible answers, and then you get what you want to hear, not what you should be hearing. So these are some of the sort of and I think for students. Kind of an accessible book is selected Letters of Sri Aurobindo Integral Yoga. It is in the form of a question and answer. So really, on all the topics that he has written, when people, aspirants ask questions, he is answering them, whether it is about psychic transformation or whether it is about sleep or whether it is about detachment from difficulties or whether it is about surrender or invisible forces. So I would say to students, since Madam asked the question, begin with a very don't jump into Savitri right away. That's absurd. You just have to most, read the Foundations of Indian Culture, a very old book, and then Integral Yoga. And then you can sort of move into Vande Mataram, because it becomes a lesson in history, in activism, you know, and then, of course, the human cycle and the ideal of human unity, and then, of course, the collected poems. I mean, you don't need to read this in any kind of a sequence. You can go back and forth. Even I can't say that I have You just simply open a page, something new hits you, and be open to that wonder, you know, but rather than finding or looking for some sort of a formulaic way. Yeah. I think formulaic way actually can be very restrictive. Right? See, that's the reason that I didn't want to sort of give you, overload the students with information about Sri Aurobindo and give some details about his life, which you can easily find yeah, in any. Okay. I think someone else had, Shashwati ma'am had a question. Yes.
Yes, madam. When you were talking about Asura Shakti, and you said that
Yeah.
Asura Shakti is also Shakti, so you were referring to just what you have said about this hyperactive political this
Yeah.
thing powers. Was
Yeah.
it that? Means we have to sort of channelize a Shakti.
See, the first and foremost, many of these Asura Shakti or this hyperactive, loud, they're not looking for solutions. And I've written this in
Yes,
one of,
taking away from
it's very
solutions.
easy to, it is very easy to jump into the bandwagon of, you can go march. Even my students, they will say, oh, we are participating in Black Lives Movement and Black Lives Matter or anti-Israel. I said, please learn about the complexities of the problems. But you must be willing to cede your territory and hear the real problems of the other. You can't live in your bubble and say, oh, I did my job. I just went and joined the protest and screamed a few and held a placard. This is what I call it as Ashura Shakti. Because you're not able to, because there is no transformation. What Sri Aurobindo tells you is real, deep rooted transformation. Don't look for lazy politics and lazy, superficial, and feel good. Oh, I feel good just by screaming few slogans. That's not going to give us solve any problems. That is not going to solve any problem. And
Another aspect.
Don't. Oh, go ahead, ma'am.
No, it's okay, man.
No, go ahead,
Okay.
please.
Okay. Another aspect that I really liked, the way you said that a liar is better than a spinner. If you could just distinguish it a little more, I just loved it. It was really a very wonderful thing because this is what we keep on doing, no?
Spinner of truth. If I got it
Spinner,
right.
no, spinner of truth. No, spinner means who spins about, like even truth runs away from truth. Huh. Is
See,
it that,
running away
madam?
from is covered as telling a lie is being deceptive, but spinner
When
is
he
really
knows that he's telling a
psychotic.
lie.
And when you have no regard for truth at all, there is no. See, when you're talking about what for Sri Aurobindo is that interior truth, internal freedom, right? That is very critical. So you can't fool yourself. So you are, and unless and until you are mindful of that and are faithful to that, the rest of it is just simply superficial, surface level. That is not going to sort of uh, take you to that. Pardon the expression, this is the title of the book. So, where I get this, there is a very wonderful, tiny little book by a Princeton philosopher, and the title of the book is called Bullshit. So, he's the one who talks about we are living in the BS era. Everybody, whatever comes to your mouth. See, there has to be a filter between your private thought and public expression. And when there is no filter at all, it's cute only in a child, since I'm a developmental psychologist. In a child, there is no barrier. So whatever they think, they're going to speak, which is fine. And we find it very endearing and cute. It's not cute in a grown up. oh, this is what I think, and I'm going to say, no, it's not. you know.
Mm.
Anybody else wants something?
One more thing was something I've spoken about mature love.
I can't
Where you
hear.
had said that me, I didn't understand it properly. Mature
Okay.
love, and you had said that which means that you are not like me, but I want to be like you. What when
No,
I
no,
didn't
not I
get
want
that
to
thing
be like.
properly.
No, no. What I
Hmm.
said was, I am not like you, but I like
Huh?
you.
Okay, okay, okay. Just one
I
second.
am
I'm
not
not
like
like
you, but I
you,
like you.
but I like you. Okay.
I like you. I like you.
Yes, yes. Okay,
I mean, there is a kind of a benevolent partitioning
okay, okay. Okay.
of voices. I'm not trying to pull you into my orbit, nor am I entering into your orbit. I respect those porous borders, but
Mm-hmm.
even though you are very different from me, I like you.
I
I
like you. Okay.
respect that,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's what
Mm-hmm.
it just.
Another thing was very attractive. I should have been for the students was this, ascending. Ascending means trying to understand, and then the challenge you said was in the descent.
Listen,
Therein
yes,
lies the miracle of descent, where you can
absolutely,
actually means in the application lies the challenge. No, that is
that's
what
right.
you meant.
That's
No,
right. Because that is
that
where
was.
the real. Yeah, you're right. That's why I use the sort of experience of my own trekking in the Himalayas
Okay.
as a kind of
That
emblem.
is where I missed, madam. That was where I couldn't hear properly. But it was
Yeah.
very nice. I really loved it. And I must say something. I must share it with all of you that you have actually taken me 42 years down the memory lane and reminded me of my teacher, my beloved teacher, Miss Banerjee, who we used to love her classes. And what we hated in her class was the bell. And exactly when you asked Shantanu, do I have any more time? What do I do? I said, oh my God, time is getting over. So we have to move out of it and we have to come back to
Okay.
reality. It was
We
real.
are.
You're a wonderful teacher, madam. Wonderful teacher. Just enjoyed every
Thank,
bit of it. It was very
thank you.
nice and we would love to
But
have
it
you
is the
again.
topic.
We'd just love
Sometimes
to
I
have you
tell
again.
when I deliver lectures on my book on Mahabharata, said Mahabharata is captivating. Once students in York University, Canada, invited me, and it started in the evening, 6 o'clock, and I had just a couple of hours back. I had landed, and then they were. I mean, I said I don't need to speak about Mahabharata. It's a very global student community. I can talk about other things that are more familiar to you. They said, no, 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 speak about Mahabharata. My God, they were completely sucked into the story and whatever I was talking about. It didn't end till 11 o'clock. After that, I had to
Oh
say
my
11
God.
p.m. And 6 o'clock to 11 p.m. And I'm said, guys, please drop me at my hotel. I mean, the sleep is approaching me. I can't handle that.
And madam,
My,
today
my,
you
my,
sacrificed your morning, your Sunday morning, to
it
give
is
us
not a
this
sacrifice.
wonderful evening, wonderful evening. And I must
Thank,
thank Shantanu from the core of my heart to have organized this. Shantanu has always been very, very enthusiastic, very sincere in his approach, and he's very basic in his approach. That is something very nice about him, that whenever he organizes, he tries to see that it is actually functional. So thank you, Shantanu. Thank you so much. And thank you
Unfortunately,
to
the internet played truant today.
oh, sorry.
So
Yes,
I was,
generally it doesn't. In your case, generally it doesn't.
it doesn't.
And
It never does. I don't know
no,
what
it never.
plans
Yes, it
the
never
Lord had
does.
for
Even when
me.
we have classes or so many
Yes,
things,
it
it has
never
never
does.
been
This is the first time that
with
this is
with
occurring.
Shantanu. This has never happened.
I just have one
And our dear
question.
principal,
Yeah, go on.
Dr. Sonali
Just
Banerjee Josh, she is really a pillar of support always and very,
always,
very. She
always a
actively
pillar of
participates
support and
here.
always
That is
forthcoming with
very,
her
very.
encouragement.
always encourage
ma'am, when you come
cooperation
to
and
India,
active
you must
participation.
come to our college,
Yes, you
ma'am.
must. Yes,
You
madam.
must.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
one
Whenever
thing,
you come, whenever you travel.
here I want to
I
just mention
let's
one
hope
thing.
this.
That
I'm
is
actually
the
on fellowship leave this year. If not
okay.
for the COVID, I would spend a couple of months in India. But I'll definitely. I mean, it's like I can't wait to sort of arrive in India. But right now, I don't know. Things are still a little bit. You can't so freely travel. I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Uncertainty.
let's hope it
I
fades, and I'll be happy to share my other works next time.
Yes, ma'am. Certainly.
Whether in
But
person or in
I must admit one thing over here that
yeah.
actually I'm thankful to COVID-19 at this juncture because it is because of this that we have diverted to online methods of this,
I
not seminars but webinars. And that is
silver
why we have
lining,
had this
right?
wonderful evening. I just enjoyed it,
I
absolutely.
fully agree
And
with you, Saraswati ji.
absolutely,
I fully agree.
madam, absolutely. And our technical supports, uh, are Dr. Pradhan and Shantanu Pan. They have really done their bit very
If we
well.
could have you, if we could have your videos on Shantanu and Shantanu Pan and Dr. Bhumika Pradhan,
Yeah,
if
then
we
we could
can
take a
have you
taste
on
of.
screen,
Yeah.
it would be wonderful.
To all our student union, the members of our student union, and all the students of our college, students of other colleges, I hope you all have had a wonderful evening. I have had a wonderful evening. Wonderful
Thank you.
evening.
The pleasure
I
was
think
all.
all agree. All agree.
Thanks a lot.
It has been a blessing and Lord's blessing to have blessed us with this wonderful evening. Absolutely.
Thank,
God bless all.
thank you. Thank you. Same to you. Pleasure engaging with you.
Kakkival
Swati.
on করলো না?
Shantanu, are you there? Or are you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Oh, okay. So, well,
I was just having a question. I know it's very
sure. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
it's very embarrassing to butt in with a question at the end of everything.
No
So I
problem.
just one question. Sri Aurobindo went to a southern place, Pondicherry, in order to carry on his sadhana. So keeping this in mind, can you tell me whether Sri Aurobindo was in any way impressed or fascinated by South Indian literature? For example, the works of Thiruvalluvar or Tyagaraya or the Arvars and the Nayanars.
Actually, I don't know about that, but I think I've sort of forgot to mention this. When there was definitely the wonderful meeting between the great Tamil poet Subramanya Bharati and
Oh, I
Sri
see.
Aurobindo.
Oh.
So, just for the students, I think that is one of the very famous writings of Subramanya Bharati. And he was very much sort of in the same light. He wrote a very famous play called Panchali Sabadam in Tamil. It's one of the most potent. And so, how he saw the way he framed it was that the trials and tribulations of Panchali, Draupadi, was very much like that of Mother India, who is being publicly humiliated by the invaders, and her custodians are like impotent men who are so. And then he implores her to awaken the energy within her and fight her battles. So that Panchali Shabadam, was a classic work and great minds. I mean, no other Tamil poet, Thiruvalluvar, there are so many in every region of India. There is no scarcity of mystics and poets. But I must say, there is a special joy, and I'm glad you asked this question, Shantanu, because I forgot. I was going to mention about Subramanya Bharati, and he also tried to escape and arrive because Pondicherry was a French colony. Yeah? So there is, I think, Sri Aurobindo's it was so cosmopolitan. It was all embracing. It didn't have to sort of really pick on or make references to Thiruva. It's not like some bibliography, that I have quoted them or have cited them. But definitely that considerable meeting. And there were many sadhaks and people who gave the patronage for Sri Aurobindo. One, Mr. Chettiar, and many others were there in Pondicherry. So I don't think, first and foremost, Sri Aurobindo was, it is not like just simply shopping around for ideas everywhere, sort of a thing, but rather it is an all inclusive Mother India. Everybody. So you can't even say he was just a Bengali or just an Indian. It is the reach of his works is so vast. So he didn't have to, but I think he captured the spirit. Whether you listen to Tukaram's Abhangs or whether it is Tiruvalluvar's aphorisms, they are all grand and mighty, and I don't think he would have any you know um, it doesn't feature in his writings, but I think in terms of his life, there were quite a number of because Pondicherry after all is in Tamil Nadu. And it was now it is almost associated with Sri Aurobindo. We can't even think of Pondicherry without Sri Aurobindo and Auroville. It's just reality. So it's very pan Indian and pan global, I would say. I think there is another person, B. Pradhan. Do you have something to say? No, okay. Any other final comment? Thank you, Shantanu, because that allowed me to speak about Subramanya Bharati, because for every occasion of the country, Vande Mataram, the songs about what must be sung, or in Tamil, one of the most beautiful poet in Tamil language is Subramanya Bharati. And so there is something magical when great minds and great souls meet. And that's very, very profound. See, that's why I said, sometimes just having a prepared text is not possible, because you are like a river, it just flows, and skipped my mind to mention, and it's good that we remember Subramanya Bharati on a special day like this, Independence Day.
We would like to hear from our students. Any one of you, anything you would like to share, Madam would certainly love to hear from.
Yeah, I would love to. Yes.
So many have left.
Well, it is
Madhurima, don't you have any question? Madhurima Dhar?
I think students need a lot of goading in order to.
She's a very sincere student, so I thought she might have some question.
Not working, so that is one of the challenges of teaching online, right? People are struggling with technology and Wi-Fi, and so which is the sad part of it. On one hand, it has the advantages of having a large crowd, online. But
Sanjukta Lord. No one is responding.
No one is.
Yes,
Boishali. Bolo. Don't you have any question?
Hello.
Go on.
Yes, how was the presentation? Bolo.
I think Sanjukta.
Hello, ma'am. It was very good.
Very good.
I think you need to ask pertinent questions, students.
Yes.
Don't say good, bad, nice, not nice. Even I struggle with my students. Just don't give me it's cool, it's neat. Please. Do something more than that. Anyway, well, Shantanu, you decide. I think whenever you want to conclude. But Shashwati Goshi, it's a pleasure exchanging ideas with you and
Yes, yes, I would love to. I would
your
just love to, madam. Yes.
enthusiasm. So,
Please, please. You have
Sonali,
got
Madam,
a lovely, wonderful method of communication. You
thank you so
actually
very
go
much.
beyond the text, and that is the most important thing, and that makes it so lively and so interactive, and it makes us think also,
Yeah, yeah,
when you
yeah.
do like this. It was really nice.
Thank you.
Really feeling blessed. Yes,
We
Shantanu,
all
please see,
struggle
huh?
to do
Please
this.
organize again, huh?
Yeah. So, oh yes, I'm glad to see you, Sonaliji. Sonaliji, thank you so very much for your kind invitation. It's been a pleasure. It's nice to, because I've been kind of working on my book and trying to stare into a blank page and see
Yes.
what I can think and write. So it is indeed wonderful, and this is a very momentous occasion,
Yes.
Independence Day.
And it has been
So
very well celebrated by your presentation.
and when
Absolutely.
Shantanu asked me, I said, you know what, I wouldn't dare to speak about Sri Aurobindo. What capacity do I have even to, communicate? Then he said, no, no, ma'am, it's okay. I said, okay. I've never done this lecture, or I've spoken about my books and other academic stuff, but never. So this is it's very momentous even for me. And I just like
But
to
it was so illuminating and so revelatory
Yes. Oh,
that we have been
very, very.
fascinated and
Absolutely.
mesmerized.
A very
Absolutely.
a very befitting inauguration to our year-long
Absolutely.
celebrations which we
Yes.
are
Yes.
planning, madam.
Yes. Yes.
So
Indeed,
you
very
have just
befitting.
Absolutely.
set it
Very
right on
befitting.
the right track.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We have really begun with a bang.
wonderful.
Absolutely. Yes. Right.
Well, that's what it's not me. It is really great ideas that generate, it stirs our imagination in ways
Mm.
that, So thankfully, I seem to be very drawn to Mahabharata or Aurobindo. So I can do very little work and and then still sort of stir people because it's nothing to do with us, but it is really these great works. They do the magic. They do the work. So anyway, thank you once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I wish was able to see few more students, but that's okay. Generally, students are shy and they just want to hide.
Yeah, they're shy and many of them have left.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's okay. It happens.
I think a few are back again. এই যে সুলগ্না পোদ্দার, সুপ্রিয় দাস, শারিক, এত চুপচাপ কেন? No response.
Oh well, happy Independence Day to all of you, and
Yes, happy Independence Day to you too.
all of us. Thankfully, it is a Sunday, so I just it's going to be 10 a.m. for us here in New York.
10 a.m. Okay.
And I think, what time is it for you? 7?
Yes.
It is, yes, 15 minutes past 7, quarter past 7.
Oh, okay. So you guys are approaching your dinner time, and I'm approaching my breakfast.
Yeah, you're approaching your breakfast. I think a little late for your breakfast, no?
That's okay. It's just that I had a little bit before starting, so I'm okay.
The morning.
So and then I'll go.
That's what I was telling Shantanu, that she has to wake up so early. You must have woken up about 5, no?
Yeah, I woke up at 4.
Because, yeah.
And it's not always do I wake up that early, but on occasion it's not too bad. So that's why when he asked me for the time, I said my time 7:30, 8 would be ideal. It's not too bad. I mean, I think generally Indians do wake. I mean, now many even in the West they go for their exercise and run and interesting stuff. So it's not bad. I enjoy it thoroughly. My pleasure always. So, well, hopefully I get to see you all in person sometime in near
Yes,
future.
ma'am. We
Really,
also.
we would love
Kolkata,
to.
Kolkata is beckoning. So
Yes.
many friends there.
Yes, Kolkata
Because
is calling you. Netaji Nagar Day College is calling you.
I,
Let's see
I know
what happens.
I will
Okay.
definitely be there. It would be a great pleasure. So anyway, so thank you so very much,
Okay.
and
Thank you, madam.
students, wish you all the
Okay,
best in
madam.
your
Thank you.
academic
Okay.
pursuit and in your academic life. And once again, Shantanu, Sonali, Banerjee ji, and Shashwat ji, thank you very much. Shashwati,
Thank
sorry.
you, ma'am.
Ghosh.
Thank you very much. So let's call it a day then in that case.
Okay. Okay. Thank you
Thank you,
so
ma'am.
much.
Bye bye.
Thank
See you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye, Shantanu. May
Bye.
I leave?
Yes. Thank you so much.